What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Starks, back to MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is Ella McCay. This is a review of Ella McCay. Disney has failed yet again to put a film on their service that they own with audio description. I don't understand it. They did this with Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere that finally hit Disney Plus slash Hulu. It's neither of these films have audio description. It's very frustrating. It's like, you guys own 20th Century Fox. This should not be hard. Why buy a studio if you're not going to use it? But um whatever. So I'm reviewing the film without audio description intentionally because I don't really care. It's Ella McCay. I'm hoping Springsteen Delivered Me From Nowhere to be able to hear that audio description track at some time, but I'm not super stoked about Ella McCay. I remember going to theaters. I'm always, when I say honest review from Blind Film Critic, I kind of go free flow here. And so if there is a bias in me, you can read it really easily. So instead of trying to figure out like, where's he at with this, you'll know. So I remember when I was in theaters, I think they ran a trailer for this in Freaky Friday, and my God, that trailer was terrible. I was like, what on earth is this? And I had seen Ella McCay sort of trending a little bit leading up to this in terms of floating around the award season because James L. Brooks used to be the director who would do good movies until he was kidnapped and body snatched and replaced with an alien interpretation of what a human is. But it's um that trailer was terrible. I mean, that trailer immediately put Ellen McCay. I was like, ooh, oof. I just, I think it's one of the worst trailers I've ever seen. I felt like I was watching this. So I was like, is this a parody? Is this a parody trailer? This movie can't be real. And then I was like, oh no, it's Ellen McCay. Oh my God. This is what Ellen McCay is. This is from the director of As Good as It Gets in terms of endearment. What is happening? So, um, yeah, we have Emma Mackey, Jamie Lee Curtis, Woody Harrelson, Albert Brooks, Jack Lowden, Kumail Nanjiani, Julie Kavner, who narrates the movie. So the whole movie sounds like it's narrated by Marge Simpson, by the way. Just it's great. Rebecca Hall's here for like a hot minute. Um, and this film is so confusing. It is so bizarre. It's like the last film that James L. Brooks made was How Do You Know, which is easily, up until this point, was his worst film. It might still be his worst film. It's gonna take a while for me to for me to get over Ella McCay because I know I didn't like How Do You Know, but I remember How Do You Know at least had Jack Nicholson, and I don't know if I'm gaslighting myself into believing that I liked at least his performance because at least in Ella McCay I'll say I like Jamie Lee Curtis, like I liked what she was doing here, and also, I like Julie Kavner. Like, I think what she was doing here was nice. It's an odd choice because she has such a distinct voice to have her do narration, but you know, why not? I mean, Mufasa and Darth Vader sound like the same person, so eh, who cares, right? It's interesting because she has such a distinct voice where you go, oh my God, I know that voice. Immediately, I don't need to look at the credits. I know who's doing this. So, um, yeah, and the fact that she actually does stuff within the context of the film and isn't just narrating it, you know, like Will Patton in Train Dreams or Nick Offerman in Life of Chuck were. That she is actually in the film. It's a weird character to have narrating the film. She's like a secretary to Ella McCay, who's the titular character played by Emma Mackey, who is uh, a little bit of a political spitfire who I don't know. She works for the governor of somewhere. I forget where. I don't even think it matters. I'm not even sure they ever specify. And her boss is Albert Brooks, and he's being promoted to Secretary of the Interior. And he's letting her know, heads up, I'm gonna tap you to follow me to get to you know to be the one to hold my position. Uh, I guess until the next election, you know. Somebody's got to fill that seat. Somebody's got to be in that temporary spot until the next election. So she's going to get to do that. And so she's stoked about that. And then she finds out that she's been breaking the law this whole time. She didn't know it because I'm trying to follow the thread here, and the lack of audio description and just the film itself feels like it was written by, I don't know, like people who were trying to interpret humans. I want to say this film feels like it was written by AI, like where it sort of tries to interpret human emotion, but and like concepts. I'm not saying that this isn't a real thing, but it does feel kind of weird. So she has some sort of access to an apartment or something like that that's like for her government work. And she meets her husband there for sex. Again, husband, right? Not boy toy, not side piece. And then she finds out that there's some clause about using government property for things other than. And I'm like, but what? Wouldn't we? Eh, what? We have a lot of government property. We have a lot of government housing. The White House would be considered government property. Does no one have sex in the White House? And if so, is it a problem? What about the governor's mansion? I don't. The film doesn't really clearly define it. It just feels like it needs a problem for Ella McCay to go through, and it's not really. They're like, this makes sense, right? And that question was asked to a room that was empty at the time, so they just took that as being validation. It's not really a strong case for anything. And then she's worried about this reporter finding out about it, and he does know about it somehow, and she's like, "Oh no, this is gonna get out about me." I'm like, "That you're having sex with your husband in an apartment? Worse things have happened, ma'am. Look at our political landscape. I don't even think this would register." I think people in whatever state she was in would hear this scandal and laugh and then move on. They'd be like, next. Like, it's so weird. This is such like the wrong movie for 2025. Oh my God. Um, and it's like we have bigger fish to fry than somebody having sex with at least make him not the husband. At least, I don't know, make him something. Make him some sort of, unsavory character that it's like, the people can't see us together because you're a serial killer. Oh no, if people knew I don't know, something. This is such a giant leap. Feels like something that James L. Brooks was concerned about and was like, I couldn't imagine if, oh my God, could you imagine if, if a couple was fornicating inside of a government-owned property, what kind of scandal that would, I can't. And then spent like 15 years marinating on it and then vomited out this movie. This is such a stupid movie. I hated it so much. That's why I was like, doesn't have audio description. Usually, if a movie has audio description, I try to track it down. And then I was like, there is absolutely not a single fuck chance in hell that the audio description would cause this to go fresh. However, unlike some other films this year that floated in like the ones and twos, Jamie Lee Curtis is delightful. She has this really odd written character, but it feels very Jamie Lee Curtis of her. It's very light and supportive and warm and fluffy and all that kind of stuff that we like from Jamie. It's a great Jamie Lee Curtis role. She's really cast to her strengths. So it's not the kind of role that you would see her up for like awards consideration in, but it is the kind of role that you go, yeah, it's a Jamie Lee Curtis role. I buy that. Woody Harrelson, his role just sucks so bad. He's the estranged father to Ella McCay, and he comes and he's trying to like apologize. He doesn't really want to apologize. He doesn't understand why he's apologizing, and you're like, why are you even here? Like, why does this film need you? This film is It's so this film has so many extraneous characters that it doesn't need and side plot points that it just deviates into. I couldn't for the life of me define to you why Kumail Nanjiani is in this movie. Like, it is so bizarre. They can't even stick to its main core plot point about this, political scandal, right? And the idea of this young girl who's been waiting her whole life to move up the ranks of the political ladder and how she might be crushed by such a silly scandal. Like, it's got to have all these other side characters with these dumb plots, and then she has to worry about her father coming back into her life, and then we learn that the history of her mother, played by Rebecca Hall, and she lost her mother at a young age, and my God, my God. It is it's all a bit much, It's just a bridge too far sometimes. Um, and Jack Loudon, who I know people love on Slow Horses, is like, I don't know, spaghetti in this. It's just like just interchangeable, whatever, like a noodle. Just like, well, I'm here, but anybody could have been here. This role could have been given to anybody, and they would have given the exact same performance that I'm giving. He does nothing with it. It's not an interesting role. He's not believable enough to be like, oh my god, I love my wife, and he's also not believable enough to be like, ah ha ha, I'm a bad guy and this whole thing. He's not really believable enough in anything. He just plays the whole thing just so dull and boring. To be fair, it's not a very well written role either, but at least do something with it. Give it something. There's a way that you can deliver a line to make it feel at least somewhat more interesting than what it is, and Jack just doesn't seem like he cares enough to do that. I love Emma Mackey. I think she's a lovely talent, and she's trying to be what this film needs her to be, but this film doesn't even know what it needs her to be. So it's really hard to say anything. It ends up being a bad performance because the film lets her down, not because she lets the film down, but because the film lets her down. Because Ellen McCay is such a grating character to follow for this duration of time, and the script is so terrible that there's like nothing behind it. So the best thing I can say is that Jamie Lee Curtis is good because casting directors are they took the win on that one. They read that role and they were like, oh, Jamie would be the perfect choice for this. And then Jamie didn't read the rest of the script and just read her part and was like, yeah, yeah, oh my god, this feels like me. Totally, I could do these scenes. And then probably went to the premiere and cried and just was like, oh, but the rest of the movie, it's so bad. So bad. I love Albert Brooks too. And to be fair, there's something that's really interesting about seeing Albert Brooks in the role that he's in, and you want more of him, but he's like barely in the movie. And the couple of scenes you get with Albert Brooks are interesting, but his character has no depth to him. He's more like a catalyst for things that happen and a reaction to. So he's there at the beginning of the film to be like, by the way, heads up, I'm shortlisted for a cabinet position. And then like his second scene is, I'm in the cabinet position. Now you're promoted. And his third scene is like, I'm disappointed with you. I tapped you for this position. It's like, it's so predictable. Uh, I know this is laden with spoilers, but Ellen McCay is not the kind of film where you go, wow, don't spoil that for me. It's such an intriguing movie full of depth. And I'm so intrigued by people who, I've used intrigued too many times, who actually liked this. I'm like, I guess that I've liked some films too, and if you liked it too, I honor that. I want to. There are some films that I certainly have liked where I'm like, I know no one else liked this movie, but I thought it was fun. I also acknowledge that it's stupid. Like at the same time, I'll pick out like Playdate, which was that Alan Ritchson, Kevin James movie. I'm not saying it's a great work of art. I'm just saying I had a lot of fun. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just thought that movie was fun. For a lot of the other films that Amazon tried to throw at me that ended up not being fun, and that one I actually did think was fun. It's not cinematic masterpiece, but yeah, I went fresh on it because it entertained me. So if people are saying Ellen McCay is entertaining, sure, I can get that. If you like lighthearted, low stakes movies that don't make any sense, cool. But if you're thinking to yourself from the director of Terms of Endearment, it's almost impossible to not be disappointed in what this is and what it could have been. Like, this is James L. Brooks is now falling into that trap that we're getting with some of our aging classic directors, where it's like, somebody take the keys away from Grandpa, because they're driving off a cliff. We have so many directors now that seem to be putting out like their what might be their final work, and their final work is terrible. This might be the last thing James L. Brooks directs, which, you know, might be a slight improvement on How Do We Know. My brain is, I don't know, trying to reject that movie, so it doesn't want to remember it. Um, but when you look at, I don't know, like Megalopolis, right? I mean, if that's the last thing Francis Ford Coppola directs, I guess he's happy because he got to direct his passion project. But at the same time, my God, that's the guy that did a Godfather and Apocalypse Now, you know? And his last film is Megalopolis. It's like I fear for directors like Scorsese and Spielberg. It's like, what would their last film be? Now, Ridley Scott, his last film, his most recent film is Gladiator 2, which is not terrible in comparison to some of these other films, but it's not great. He should probably quit while he's ahead and make something unintentionally worse. But like, I like The Last Duel, which was right before that. He may have more gas in the tank, but some of these directors, they've run out of gas, and it's time to take the keys away. So, please, no more movies from James. It was fun while he lasted, and he has some great films under his belt and in his resume. He's produced a lot of things, worked on TV shows like The Simpsons. He will forever be adored and loved for that. But this is not a good movie under any circumstance or imagination of that. Now, it is possible for you to enjoy something that is not, a technically proficient movie or a well-written script, as I acknowledge all the time. We enjoy Adam Sandler movies, and they're not necessarily all comic gold. I mean, look at Tarantino with his grand list that he built up to of his like favorite films of the century, of the last 25 years, and he picked Jackass at number one. Like, come on, really? Like, what does that say about narrative storytelling in the last 25 years? He's like, I was blown away by Jackass. And it's like, I mean, that's fine, but to put it at number one is also kind of like saying nothing good has come of the last 25 years, and Jackass is the best we can ever hope to achieve. So, eh, I, I'm not a fan of this. I Audio description would not change anything. I could listen to the track and it might get like a point. It's not going to go much higher than what I'm giving it. So I'm uninterested in ever watching this movie again with or without audio description. I'm sorry if you worked on the track and this is a review that doesn't have any mention of it. But you know what? Disney could have put it on there, could have debuted. So if you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at Disney. And send them angry messages for not debuting day and date audio description. Um, but I'm done with this. I'm gonna give it a 2.9 out of 10, and I kind of despise the movie. And I love Jamie Lee Curtis. She's probably like a top 3 actress for me, if not my number one, in terms of actually enjoying their work. Not saying I think they're the best actress of all time, but in like, oh, I get excited when they're in a movie. I am far more inclined to watch any movie starring Jamie Lee Curtis than I would be some of the other actresses who I might acknowledge have more range. But I just enjoyed Jamie Lee Curtis's work more. And this film still didn't work on me. She did. The rest of the film did not. So yeah, I would avoid this. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.